A potentially explosive move is coming for Bitcoin, and this is how you can prepare. Let's go ahead and jump in. Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. In today's video, we're going to be going over the macro and the short-term charts, discussing why Bitcoin is potentially preparing for an explosive move upwards. We'll also go over the key levels you need to be watching and of course exactly what we expect for Bitcoin to be doing over the next coming days. Before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos on Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you are interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the third link down below. You will get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. If you are interested in trading, you can join 610 members in our VIP group. We post trading setups with exact entries, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. You'll also get access to our group chats, our general chat, our trading chart and education chat, our news chat, our trade setup chat, our daily video chat, and our help chat. If you're interested in getting access to all of that, go ahead and contact me in the pinned comment of the free channel for more information. Let's go ahead, guys, and dive into the video. Starting on that market data, how are we looking? 24-hour volume is down 46.02%. This is sitting at a total of 55 billion. This is expected as we enter and exit the weekend period. Of course, it is still the weekend in America, so we do see a general reduction in overall trading volume during the weekend periods. With that reduction in trading volume, we see a reduction in volatility, and with a reduction in volatility, we generally see liquidations drop, and liquidations are down 57.22%, sitting at a total of 48 million. Of the 48 million, 21.9 million have come from longs, and a total of 26.6 million have come from shorts. Straight away, this nearly even cut between short and long positions tell us that we are seeing a lot of sideways price action, or have seen sideways price action in the last 24 hours. So taking a very preliminary look at the price action, we can see Bitcoin hasn't done all that much in the last 24 hours. We saw a nice rally to 42,000 where we saw a rejection, and we are now back at retesting that key level of resistance. So a little bit of sideways chop, flushing out those late longs and then flushing out those late shorts. Before we go ahead and get into Bitcoin more, we'll jump over to the DXY and the traditional markets. So the DXY over here, you can see a lot is going on the charts. We do have our major uptrending support line. This is going to be our 2-month uptrend. The 2-month uptrend is supported by as well the 50 EMA, which is the red line, and the base of support, which is a horizontal support zone at around that 103 to 102.8 level. A loss of these 3 points of confluence will result in a downtrend initiating. Of course, a downtrend will be very bullish for the broader markets. A continuation upwards is expected while we do hold above these 3 points of confluence, particularly the 50 EMA and the horizontal base of support. Expected target for a continuation upwards is 105. Moving over to the S&P 500, we can see a lot of strength over here as the S&P 500 is continuing up into new highs. We are still expecting a target of 5,000, which is going to be our psychological level of resistance, provided our base of support does hold as support, the distance between these two horizontal lines. If we do happen to lose that local low, we would expect a correction back down to retest 4,600. Until then, we are very much in a uptrend. And for the Dow Jones, exactly the same scenario. We have got this nice consolidation going on over here. We broke toward the upside. We do expect the price to continue to these whole numbers, 38,500 and 39,000, provided the low of this range is able to hold. If we lose that low, we would then expect the price to correct to our nearest level of support. Without further ado, guys, we'll go ahead and jump into Bitcoin. But again, before we do, a quick word from Bitget and BingX. I wanted to briefly interrupt today's video to discuss the 2 exchanges we use on this channel, Bitget and BingX. So which exchange should you sign up to? If you look to the right hand side of the screen, you're going to see the list of differences in relation to KYC requirements and the countries these exchanges offer services to. The first link down below being the Bitget link, and the second link down below being the BingX link. No matter which link you sign up to, you're going to get up to 15% discounts on your trading fees, up to $5,000 in trading rewards, and of course, you'll get access to every single MegaWhale exclusive bonus campaign we run on these exchanges. Alongside that, Bitget and BingX are incredibly similar. They are both ranked top 10 in terms of trading volume, they both have extensive liquidity pools and market pairs offering up to 125x leverage, and most importantly, they both offer protection funds for their users to protect you against any third-party hacks. So get started now and support the channel by clicking the links below. Thanks for listening. Okay guys, let's go ahead and jump into Bitcoin, and there is so much to talk about as Bitcoin has broken out of its short-term downtrend, which resulted in a retest of that $38,000 range. We have since broken upwards of this short-term downtrend, resulting in a move to 42,000. On the higher time frame, Bitcoin is looking relatively bullish. It has bounced from our first of three major areas of support. But the big question is this just a dead cat bounce? Are we going lower, or will we actually regain the required strength to push back into that 46 to 48k range and potentially break upwards? So let's go ahead and jump into the chart. Starting on that daily chart. The key thing I am watching, guys, and this is what we talked about in the start of the video, the explosive potential upward move that is potentially loading is going to be triggered by a specific trend line. And this trend line is going to be on our RSI. We can see our RSI over here. We have this downtrending diagonal trend line. If we look back at the past, we have seen similar occurrences. Where we have bearish divergences play out, right? We have our bearish divergence, we have our bearish divergence on the RSI. We can see these downtrends eventually then do continue as per, again, the loss of momentum. We saw that play out over here, we saw that play out over here, and we have seen that play out over here again. Again, these bearish divergences represent exhaustion. It represents the discrepancy between direction of price action and the strength that is pushing that price action. It tells us the price action exhausts and likely will result in a reversal, which we do generally see. However, if we look at the RSI and drag that trend line across, we can see this trend line now not only represents, again, a bearish divergence, but it represents a trigger point for when the momentum will flip back positive. So in this instance, we can see we had that downtrend originate from the bearish divergence. We saw eventually we broke back above that trigger point of the RSI, which is again representative of a positive momentum shift, and the price action continued upwards to our next level of resistance. Perfect. We look at the next one. We had the bearish divergence. We rejected downwards. We continued toward the downtrend until we reached support. We eventually broke over that trigger point. And we can see when the momentum flipped positive, we continued upwards into our next level of resistance. If we move upwards to now, we can see exactly the same pattern playing out. We have a bearish divergence printing at a high time frame level of resistance. We can see that trigger point on the RSI. If we do see that RSI trend line break through that diagonal trigger point, we could expect the price action to flip positive in terms of momentum, and that could give the price action the boost it needs to push back into and potentially over 48,000. So I am watching this RSI very closely. I'm expecting, if we see a daily candle break above this RSI trend line, that is going to be indicating the overall momentum on the chart has flipped positive again, and that could give Bitcoin the push it needs to continue higher. So we're definitely watching out for that, guys. A potentially explosive move is coming for Bitcoin. We are definitely keeping an eye on that. So let's go over to the short-term charts and discuss what is happening. So as we can see, guys, we do have the short-term charts over here. We can see in the last couple days, we've seen a lot happen, right? Where this downtrend that originated from that 48k range, we came all the way down to retest a very critical level of support around that $38,000 level of support. This, of course, was a prior level of resistance. We had that ascending triangle formation that we did break out of, resulting in a strong continuation toward the upside. We then created about a 7-week long base of support. This level was an area of support for about 7 weeks. We eventually broke toward the downside, resulting in that gap closing and a retest of that lower range of support. During that process, we created a very clear and very obvious downtrend. The downtrend was represented and is represented by this black diagonal trend line. We told you guys that the bottom would be much higher than most people were calling for. Everyone was saying we're going to 35k, we're going to 36k at this exact bottom. We posted on Telegram. We told you guys that the bottom is generally higher than most people call for. I'm going to try to find the post to you right now, guys. Here it is. Here is the post. Just like all other times, the majority are always wrong and the bias are always late. Expect the bottom of this move to be higher than most are calling for, just as the top of the last move was lower than most were calling for. So we saw the bottom in, we saw a nice push upwards, we've broken through that resistance, we've broken back over 40k. The next question is, are we continuing higher, or is this move a nice fake pump? Is it just a fake out? Is it a fake out upwards? Is it a bull trap? Is it going to crash, or is it legitimate? So let's take a look, guys. First and foremost, we look at a few things. We look at number one, trend, structure, and strength. Those are the three validation points I look for when I'm assessing whether or not a breakout is a valid breakout or a breakout is a fake out. So let's take a look. We have got the trend breakout, which is a breakout of this downward diagonal resistance. We have very clearly broken through this level. Tick number one. Number two, we have got the structural breakout. We have broken through a structural level of resistance, which is a horizontal base of support, which is now a level of resistance. Tick number two. And of course, we have adequate strength represented by a break over the 50 EMA, which signifies relative strength in price action in comparison to the times of which the price action is trending underneath the 50 EMA. So we've got strength, we've got structural break, and of course, guys, we have the overall trend in our side. Now, that doesn't mean Bitcoin is going to inevitably continue upwards and only upwards. We could definitely see pullbacks. So let's go ahead and draw our uptrend in. This red trend line is representative of our current uptrend. This uptrend is what is required to hold for Bitcoin to continue upwards. Worst case scenario, we come down and we retest this area as support. We can still very much continue upwards. At some point, all diagonal trend lines break. So at some point, this diagonal trend line will be retested and broken. The most important thing is that when it does break, the base of horizontal support is able to hold. If at any point we break back below this base of support, we will then continue back in a downward trajectory towards 38k. However, when support is support, we have to understand the probabilities are in favor of that area holding of support, as we have relative liquidity underneath the current price action. We cannot say for sure that area of support will break until it is tested and fails to hold. And therefore, the overall obvious trajectory of price action is upwards. So we do expect Bitcoin to continue upwards, provided that uptrend holds. Where are the next targets for Bitcoin? On the short term, we are expecting a move toward the POC level, which is going to be that 42,800 level. As we discussed in our prior video, the higher we move, the greater the probability of a reversal, whether it be on the macro chart or a short-term chart. The larger and faster and the higher the price action goes, the more the scales tip in the opposite direction. We can see that happening now with a reduction in overall volatility, and we can see that happening in the past. We see it all the time. As the price action aggressively continues upwards, eventually less and less buyers step in, momentum starts to exhaust, and then sellers eventually take over. If we take a look at our VRPV indicator, we can see we have an overall upward trajectory in that VRPV until that POC level. And thus, every bit of price action from this low upwards, we are pushing upwards in a high resistance environment. Therefore, until we break over that POC, we do still have a chance of this move being, you guessed it, a dead cat bounce. If we break over the POC, we then are moving upwards in a low resistance environment. What does that mean? It means the required volume to push the price from here to here is significantly lower, not in total cumulative volume, but in relative volume in comparison from here to here. There is more resistance in this range than there is in this range. Thus, when we break over the POC, we gain more liquidity on our side, we have more structural and technical support. This, of course, is a very, very good thing. If we zoom back outwards, guys, we can see if we want to see a retest of that 46 to 48k range, we absolutely need to break above that POC level, and we need to start flipping this area as an area of support to continue toward the upside. So overall, the charts are looking decent, right? We're above our major structural support in the short term. We have bounced from a very key level on the higher time frame. We are potentially seeing momentum exhaust over here. We do want to see a positive momentum shift. So the overall summary is, at the moment, there is not enough evidence to suggest we are immediately going to go up. We're going to go break through 48k. We know that is an inevitable possibility. We know that eventually that is going to happen. We know we are going up on the higher time frame as the macro trend is upwards. But it does tell us right now this move might not be the one that does it. Until we get higher time frame confirmation, until we see momentum flip positive on the daily, until we see the price action break over 42,000, we are not going to be 100% confident in this move, and thus we are taking profits as we see a continuation upwards as we reach these areas of resistance. If we break above these levels, the confidence flips and we expect again has a greater probability of a continuation upwards than any sort of pullback or rejection. Now, that is not to take away from the current trend. Remember, the current trend is definitely upwards. We can see the current trend is definitely upwards. However, that does open us again to the possibility of a short-term pullback. So how you should be thinking of this is, the daily chart looks good. The 4-hour, the hourly looks good. However, we could still see a short-term pullback, which could wipe off a couple $100, maybe $1,000 off Bitcoin. If we start to drop any lower than that, then we start to get very worried. And of course, if we drop below 38,000, we then enter that next range, which is that 36 to $34,000 base of support. So keep your eyes on that, guys. Let's go ahead and finish up the video on the total cryptocurrency market cap. So as we can see, the total altcoin market cap on the right and total cryptocurrency market cap on the left, the total altcoin market cap is actually looking really good. We can see we have come back down and retested that base of support level. Again, this is a macro high time frame level of support. We have actually retested that over here and printed an amazingly strong candle. We can see if we are able to hold above this level, we would still expect a continuation upwards, and we are looking for a macro continuation for the altcoin market cap to around 800 billion as per what we've seen Bitcoin do in relative terms. So we are looking for that continuation upwards for the total altcoin market cap, provided this area remains of support. There is absolutely no reason to be bearish on altcoins at the moment, provided this area we're just going to head and draw another box on, is able to hold. If we fail to hold this area as support and we drop back below, I would expect massive corrections for altcoins. Potentially, some altcoins will go to new lows or prior lows. However, while we remain above here, expect nothing but macro uptrends. Moving over to the total crypto market cap, we can see we're still struggling with that major area of resistance over here. You can see some very, very long wicks on both the up and downside, but more or less we are still consolidating within this area of resistance. A break through this level will result in a macro continuation upwards for the total crypto market cap, looking at a target of around $2 trillion. Going over to Bitcoin on the higher time frame, we can see we have that respective $48,000 resistance. A break over this level will very likely send Bitcoin up to retest our prior all-time high according to our macro data. Really quickly, our macro data does suggest during the third year of each 4-year cycle phase, we retest the prior all-time high. During the third year of the 4-year cycle phase, we retest the all-time high from the prior year. That does suggest during this 12-month period, we'll at some point likely retest 69,000, which is the prior all-time high for Bitcoin. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you have a fantastic day. Keep your eyes on those levels. Watch that daily RSI develop over the next couple of days. We are going to be keeping a very close eye on this moving into February. Watch the short-term chart, specifically 42,000. Watch what happens on the immediate short term, because we could see a pullback back down towards this support level. And again, if we do see a pullback towards the support level, that is still bullish. We are still in an overall uptrend. Remember, the trend is your friend until it ends. Watch that trend and trade with it. There is no reason to expect a breakback below 40,000 while we have a very clear and definitive uptrend that the price action is moving along. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Check out the Crypto Academy courses and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.